then he shows patience, and thus that there is good for him. So this includes us not being able to pray. Okay, if we see it as something that is negative, then it's a time for us to show patience in terms of Allah's decree. Because he's the one, if we realize who Allah is, he's the one who's in control of everything, right? And the same way he controls the amount of money, like the rizq that we get in life, he also controls how much we're actually able to worship him. Nothing happens in this dunya without the permission of Allah. That includes your ability to fast. That includes your ability to pray. That includes your ability to be here and seek knowledge, right? Everything is with the permission of Allah, right? So if Allah decides that on so-and-so, on these days, from this day to this day, will not be allowed to pray, then that's the decree of Allah. And we have to accept it and be patient with it. And so when we think that prayer and fasting are the only ways to spiritually connect to Allah, then our understanding of Islam is very skewed. Okay, because there, mashallah, tabarakallah, like there are so many ways for us to worship Allah and to show gratitude to Allah and to be spiritually connected to Allah. So for us to limit it to only 2 acts of worship, we're limiting ourselves, and we're limiting the amount of rewards and blessings and good deeds that we could actually do. And so do we simply remember Allah when we're praying, or are we remembering Allah even outside of prayer? Right? Because that, some of us use this excuse that, oh, well, I connect to Allah better when I pray. Like Allah is a way for me to connect, like Salah is a way for me to connect to Allah. But so what you're saying is that you cannot connect to Allah outside of Salah, right? So that's where the problem lies. We have to really shift our mentality and realize that our connection outside of Salah is going to be the same inside of Salah. If we're thinking of Allah like throughout our day, if we're doing tasbih, if we're doing glorification of Allah throughout the day, then the quality of our Salah will be even better. But if we don't even remember who Allah is outside of our Salah, how are we going to expect to pray with khushu' and concentration and get the full reward of Salah in and of itself? It doesn't work that way, right? That connection to Allah is a 24/7 thing. It's not just in prayer. And so we continue with number 2. We don't remember the point of worship. So what exactly is the point of worshiping Allah? Like, why do we do it? Why do we do it? Why do we worship Allah? I'm sorry? He created us. Okay, yes. Why else do we worship Allah? I'm sorry? Because we believe in him. Yes, something more simple, yes. We need him more than he needs us. Okay, the answer that I'm looking for is it's super simple. He commanded us to do so, right? He commanded us to worship him. That is the command. So what is the command? It's something that Allah tells us to do. Anytime we obey Allah, we are fulfilling a command, and that is considered worship. So, taking that same mentality, same ideology, same train of thought and thinking, I'm going to put it over to menstruation. Allah commanded us to not pray, to not fast. So what does that mean? It means that every time we don't pray, every time we don't fast, we are actually in obedience to the command of Allah. We are actually worshiping Allah by following his command. We are being rewarded for following the command of not doing something he has told us not to do. The same way he tells us not to eat pork. Every time, like I'm sure if your kids go to public school, they have like the school lunches, and they have pepperoni pizza there. Every time your kid says, like, I'm not allowed to eat pepperoni or pork, they are following the command of Allah. They're being rewarded for it because they did not